Unit Skills Assessment 1, The Science of Sleep. What makes you drift off to sleep at around the same time every night? Why do you usually feel a snack attack coming on in the late afternoon? The answer? Your circadian rhythms. You can't see them or feel them, but all humans have circadian rhythms, and so do most living things, including animals, plants, and even fruit flies. Circadian rhythms are powerful. They control physical, mental, and behavioral changes that you experience over the course of a 24-hour day. What's driving those circadian rhythms? Bodily clocks. Humans have a master clock in the brain. This master clock, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, contains about 20,000 nerve cells called neurons. It's located in a small, powerful region of the brain called the hypothalamus. The SCN receives direct messages about when it's light and dark from the sensory receptors in your eyes. It then communicates this info to the rest of the brain and cells in the body. These SCN neurons in our brain are like clocks that keep track of the time of day and help synchronize our bodies with the daily rhythms that occur as the Earth rotates on its axis every 24 hours, explains Dan Kavanaugh, PhD, assistant professor at Loyola University, Chicago. It's why we get sleepy or wake up at particular times. The time that your body likes to go to sleep, which is called your chronotype, think of it as your sleep personality, can change. Research shows that as you enter your teenage years, it's normal to become more of a night owl, which means you want to stay up later, says Carrie Parched, PhD, associate professor of the University of California, Santa Cruz. This shift is caused by the normal hormonal changes that happen during puberty. For example, in teens, the levels of melatonin, a sleep-inducing hormone, also rise later in the day than they do in kids and adults. Girls typically start puberty earlier, and some studies suggest they begin shifting toward a late-night chronotype about a year sooner than boys do. In your early 20s, though, your hormones start to settle, and that urge to stay up later goes away, says Parched. And circadian rhythms affect more than just your sleep-wake cycle. They can impact other important functions in your body. Scientists know that we have a master clock in our brains, but we're only beginning to appreciate how widespread these clocks are, says Swathi Yatlapalli, PhD assistant professor at the University of Michigan. Recent studies show that almost every cell in the human body has a circadian clock. So there are clocks in most of our organs, the liver, intestines, lungs, skin, and more. Irregular rhythms can cause health conditions like sleep disorders, obesity, and diabetes. Light effects. Your internal clock is amazingly reliable, but there's one major factor that could make it go off kilter: changing your exposure to light. You've probably heard the term jet lag. If someone travels a long distance to another time zone, they may feel groggy all day. That's because their internal clock isn't lined up with the light and dark cues in their new environment. People who work at night, like nurses and nighttime security guards, also have a hard time getting their circadian clocks to match up with their outside world. Their internal clock, which takes its cues from daytime light, makes it hard for them to stay asleep, even if they're tired. The phone factor. Scientists have found that using blue light emitting devices like smartphones at night can mess up your internal clock in the same way. Even though it's not from the sun, the light from a phone tells your internal clock that it's daytime, even at 10 or 11 p.m., says Parched. The clock confusion can also drag down your energy levels, make you feel crabby, and impair your judgment. Teens need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. You might think you're doing a smart thing by catching up with a 12-hour sleep binge on the weekend, but you're only throwing off your circadian rhythms. The best strategy is to go to bed and get up at the same time every day, even on weekends, and turn off your devices 30 minutes before bedtime.